Hello, YouTube. Today is part 2 of the Vox and Velvet makeup look. We did Velvet last episode. So for this episode, we're going to be doing our Vox from Hazbin Hotel makeup look. This is kind of the tutorial, and then at the end, I will show my cosplay with it all put together. Okay, I I completely forgot I'm not wearing a wig cap for this. I'm just going to use my blue hair. I pinned it back with some 2 pins, especially because I have bangs. So I pinned it back. After you wash your hands, then we're going to go in with our skin prep. So I personally use this Milani Clean Start Prep Step Facial Mist for my skin prep. It is a mist. You take the lid off and obviously close your eyes and shut your mouth because I'm sure you don't want to taste any of this. And then what I do is I'm going to take my clean hands. I'm emphasizing washing your hands because obviously this is very important. And you're going to want to kind of pat it into your skin to make sure your skin absorbs it as much as it can. You don't want to rub it around for the risk of it possibly rubbing it off. You just want to pat it into your skin like this. Basically the same way you would use a toner. After that, I'm going in with the Maybelline New York Grippy Serum for my primer of choice. Now, sometimes primers will vary, but I do really like this serum. And you're just going to get a drop of it on all of the main points of your face. And you are going to rub this into your skin. Circular motions, just like you always do with primer. So as someone with acne, color correcting is very important to get rid of all this redness. So I'm going to be using a green color corrector, and I'm going to apply it with this brush over my acne. So I'm going to be using this LA Colors Conceal Correct Green Color Corrector. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some and put it on the back of my hand. I typically take about 3 pumps and get as much product onto the back of my hand as I can. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to kind of dab it in the concealer. And then I dab it all over my face like this in downward strokes. A little bit more. And then we are going to repeat to the other side. Now, I know I'm looking a little bit green, but look at how much better that acne actually looks. I'm going to take just a little bit more because I have a little bit of a fresh pimple right here. I'm going to dab this on there directly. I don't really have much acne on my forehead, but I will still take it up there. Now, I know I'm using a lot, and in return it is making my skin pretty green, but that's obviously because we're doing a sort of full glam makeup look today. So there's going to be foundation and concealer that goes over this, so obviously you want to be able to tell in the final product. It's just because I have so much acne and so many acne scars that my face is perpetually very red all of the time, unfortunately. As much as I would not like it to be, but look at how much that green is helping and making my face look a little bit more of a normal color. Next step, we are going to be using I do not know how to pronounce this name, but I will show it to you. It is a mini concealer pot, and I use it a lot. And I'm going to be taking a pretty small, but I would say dense brush, and I'm going to be going into this concealer because I think this just kind of fits my shade the best. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up all of my acne. So all of my scarring and fresher pimples, I'm going to completely cover up. Obviously, I can't get rid of the texture, but I can make it a little bit less noticeable, and I will show you guys what it looks like when I have it fully covered. So because I have so much acne, I kind of didn't focus on the direct pimples. I kind of just put it everywhere that's a problem area. and this is what it looks like all covered up. Now what we are going to do is we're actually going to let this set in our skin for a hot minute, and what I'm going to do then is color correct my eye bags. They're not very dark, but I still like to put some orange color corrector on them just to make myself feel better, and again to even out my skin tone before we put our foundation on. Okay, so what I did is I took this little bit oranger shade and I took my finger and I just dabbed it all over my under eye and on top of my eyelid to help color correct my eye bags a little bit. Sorry, I keep putting my finger up out of habit. I know it's blocking the camera. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my e.l.f. Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray, and I always like shaking up a little bit beforehand just to make sure none of the product settles too much. And then I am going to just spray it all over my face, specifically on the spots where I have all the concealer, to help it soak into my skin a little bit more and make it last and make it more pigmented. Because obviously if you blend it out too early, it doesn't have nearly as much pigment as it could if you wait. I don't know how much of it you can see on camera, but I feel like this helps a lot, and I personally love this setting spray, and I would recommend it. You want to sit down? Yeah. Yeah. Love you, buddy.
Thank you.
Alright, foundation time. So for my foundation, I'm going in with Milani Conceal Plus Perfect 2-in-1 foundation. I'm using 01A Creamy Nude. Personally, it might look a little bit orange for me, but I promise it is my skin tone. So what I'm going to do, same thing I did with my color corrector, is I'm going to take some of my foundation, and I typically put 1 to 2 pumps on the back of my hand, and then what I do is I take my thin foundation brush. I apologize, it's dirty, it was used a minute ago, and I collect some of the foundation to do a thin, even layer first, because it's easier to build on top than it is to take off. And we are not blending out this concealer because we want it to cover up as much as possible. So what we're going to do is we are going to just add it in like this. And then on the other side, do the same thing. And again, I know this is not look my shade, but you have to trust the process. Like I always say, you trust my madness. Because I promise once we get it fully blended out with my concealer and my blush and my contour, this is going to look just like me. Okay, now I'm going to be using my beauty blender. I always prefer beauty blenders like this versus the egg-shaped kind of ones. I don't know why, it's just a preference. It kind of does the same thing, but we're going to blend it out. Now again, I know this looks very orange. I promise you have to trust me. This does not work if you do not trust me. It's also because I have a very warm light pointing on my face right now, so it's also making it look a little bit more orange. We're going to put more foundation on, and I am actually going to blend some down my neck before we add any more to my face. And we're going to be focusing on these spots with my acne, because we are very much trying to conceal as much as we physically can. It's also important to keep in mind the reason I look so orange is because I am in my winter shade right now. So it is a little hard. And another thing is I am naturally very pink. So you telling me that this is not my shade, what am I meant to do? Buy a pink foundation? I don't think they make those. I do actually use pink concealer though, so I guess I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite. Okay, now I'm going in with my Judy Doll highlighter and contour, although I'm only using the highlighter, I'm using it as my concealer. And this will change depending on your face shape and how you want to look, but here is where I always put my concealer placement. And then I also always have a hard time with smile lines, and not in the sense that it creases my makeup, but in the sense that I naturally have smile lines on my face, which I don't know if anyone could tell. And then we are going to blend it out. Look at how much that is already helping with the orangeness of the regular foundation I use. I ordered it a bit warm, but to be fair, I did order it online, so that usually happens. And then next we are going in, I don't even want to know what just fell. Next we are going in with the Shaniqua. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that, but here it is. It is a contour and highlighter stick. Here's our contour. I mentioned with while doing my little sister's makeup for Velvet that if my contour is not great, I will look even more orange. So unfortunately, it has to be very, very gray to the point that I'm not even sure if it necessarily picks up on camera that well. But this is also not the last contour we're going to be doing. I cycle through several different means of contouring, highlighting. So this is definitely not the last time we will be using any products to contour and highlight. Oh! Wow. Okay. I see how it is. Let me just shoosh you back in there. Maybe we'll just take a little bit now and ta-da, all fixed. That was fun. Okay. I see how it is. You're trying to embarrass me on camera, but fuck you, it doesn't work. So I know it's a little bit tricky to see because of how gray the contour is, but here is my placement before. And then here we are with the highlighter. And after we blend this out, I promise you I'm going to look a lot less gray. Or, I'm sorry, orange, I mean. Now, I do always struggle with some texture here, but that could always be because of the makeup or because of the techniques I'm using, but it doesn't happen on everyone. Like, I use the same techniques and the same makeup on my sister, so I think it might just be my skincare or even just my skin, period. I always have that trouble. So I'm sure it won't be a problem for you, because I know it's not the makeup, because I use a lot of the same makeup on my sister, so, and she never has any problem like these. So I just ignore it and move on, because my face already has texture anyway. And plus, when you back up, you barely even notice it. One of the things I've learned is that you're always going to be very hypercritical of your makeup while you are super close looking at it. What you have to do is you just have to back up a little bit, because this is how people are kind of normally going to see you, if that makes sense. You know? So, I mean, the texture isn't even that bad. Sorry, I had an itch. Okay, so for blush, I use two different ones. I use the CoverGirl True Blend Skin Enhancer Blush Balm. This is Nude Flush. I personally like this one. I always put it in these spots. And then what I do is I use my She Glam blush that is Color Bloom. I think that's the shade, I'm not entirely sure. And I just put a little bit on top right here at my cheeks. And then I'm going to blend it out. Okay, now this is what my blush looks like all blended out. And then what I personally do is I actually go back in with my concealer just to control the blush a little bit, and I put it in the exact same places I put it before to control the blush and help a little bit with some more highlighting. This is the placement, and then now it is time to blend it out. Alright, now I use a lot of different products, honestly. We're on our third round of contour, and we're just putting some more. This is the She Glam one in the shade Soft Tan. And we're putting a little bit more around my jawline, not too much. Just putting a little bit more around my jawline, and then we are moving on to my nose contour, round 3. I use a lot of different products to achieve my look, but like I said many times now, trust my madness. Because I always look good, don't I?
Yeah.
This is not your video. Stop interrupting.
My bad. Just wanted to say you always looked good. You asked, I delivered an answer.
I was asking to the viewers.
Well, I'm a viewer, technically.
Alright, time for our third round of contouring. This is the Chic Glam Fine Line 2-in-1 Nose Contour and Highlighter Pen. This says Buff Dual Highlighter and Contour. I'm not sure if that's exactly like the shade or whatever, but this is how it looks. I personally love this thing. Going to get in under my nose. We're very much nose contour, sharp, tiny nose as much as possible. And then I am also adding a little bit under my lips to make them look a little bit bigger. Now we're actually going to use a brush to blend out the contour this time. And then we will go in with my highlighter, and we'll probably end up blending that out with our finger instead. We just pat it in. Now, I don't know if I know this already. You'll probably see in the thumbnail, but this is a female box cosplay, so obviously I'm doing this to mimic feminine features instead of masculine ones. Because personally, for some reason, I hate cosplaying men. I just hate it, so I always forcibly feminize all of them as much as I can. You will never see me cosplaying a man. And if I do, you best believe I'm feminizing them. The best y'all are getting is Drag Angel. And guess what? He looked like a girl, didn't he? I mean, I know that's the whole point of drag, but, like, you know what I mean? I hate doing masculine features. I prefer to just look like a pretty princess, okay? I almost forgot to blend out my lip contour. So you just go in and blend it out a little bit just to mimic shadows to make my lips look a little bit bigger. I feel like overall it works pretty well. And then I lied, we're not blending with our finger. We're actually going to go in with my beauty blender I used before to get my highlighter. Now, my placement is very, very dependent on me trying to make my nose smaller. Now, I definitely do not have a big nose. I don't think so, at least. But I do like trying to make it smaller as much as I can. Now, we are going to blend this part out a little bit with our finger. Just like that. Okay, we can blend it out a little bit more up here. Just like that. There is our base before we put on our setting and press powder. So for setting powder, I am using the Laura Mercier setting powder. I love this. It was a gift from my Nana, so I don't know exactly how old it is. Really do not know the date it was created. But point is, you get your setting powder, and you want to dab the excess off in the back of your hand. And then I personally prefer going in with my eyes first, focusing on that inner corner, and then blending over and under. Just like that. And then what I personally always do for a snatch nose, and I learned this from drag queens, is you want to go like this down the sides of your nose, and then also take some and do the highlight points you want, and you are going to let this set and bake into your skin for basically as long as possible. I'm actually going to add some more. Just like that, and we're going to let that sit for a while. Then what I typically do is I take a brush with some setting powder on it and just kind of dab it all over, and I'm going to go in with my pressed powder more over these areas. I mostly just focus my setting powder on my eyes and nose, and then the rest just gets kind of like a little bit, and then pressed powder all over. Me personally, I like a little bit of shine, but not necessarily a dewy look. Unless I'm just doing like an everyday makeup look, but for cosplay looks, I like it to be very high coverage, long lasting, matte, full glam, all of those. All of the buzzwords. Then for setting powder, what I'm going to be using is the HD Finishing Powder from NYX. I personally love this. I'm just going to take my brush. It is a translucent one. And we're just going to dab it all over the spots. I lightly went over with my setting powder. Oh, I got some on my brush. I don't know if you can even see the dent. Yeah. Well, that sucks. Anyway, I just realized my nose contouring is a little bit uneven, so I'm going to fix that really quickly. I had an itch, so I itched it. And, I mean, usually that messes up makeup, so I don't know why I didn't know any better. But we are going to fix that real quick. It looks a little bit odd. There we go. I think that's better. I still feel like it's leaning just a tad, but it's not a big deal. It's not like it'll show up on camera that much anyway. Okay, so our next step is to go in with our powdered blush and our powdered contour. I'm going to be doing my blush first. This is the Estee Lauder Signature Silky Powder Blush and shade 11 Nude Rose. Also another gift from my Nana, so I don't necessarily know how old it is. But I personally love this. I love this shade. It looks a little bit scary, but the important thing is that it works. Although I did almost screw up, because actually, first thing I do, sorry, I'm new to filming tutorials, is I go in with the Kobe Lean shade number 2 powdered blush. It comes in this little like stick kind of thing, and you twist it, and there's like a pot inside. And what I do is I sort of put the blush in the same place I put the other blush. And this is sort of like a brightening thing, and it also helps fight the orangeness of the foundation that I end up using. And we're going to blend it out with our setting powder brush. I feel like it brightens up my face while also being a nice, pretty blush. Okay, now we're going to be going with our Estee Lauder blush. I am so sorry. And we're going to be focusing this one up a little bit higher. A little bit more up here. And then we're going to be taking our setting powder brush and blending it out. I like a very rosy kind of look. This is how it looks from like a far away kind of look, like what you probably see on camera. And then this is how it looks up close. My eyes always look like brown from far away, and then when you get close, they're always very green. Anyway, our next step for our powdered contour is the Too Faced Natural Chocolate Golden Cocoa. Hi, buddy. Technically, it is a bronzer, but I always use it as a contour. Because, I mean, really that stuff just depends on shade. It really doesn't make much of a difference. So, what you're going to be doing is you're going to focus it along your jawline. And you can't even see it that much, is what's crazy to me. And then you do a little bit above your forehead like this. My brother's playing with himself on camera. That sounded bad. He's like watching how close and far he gets until he disappears. This is how it looks from far away. This is how it looks up close. I'm probably going to add a little bit more, but it's always easier to add more than it is to take away. So you never want to start with a whole lot of product. You want to slowly build into it, because see, now you see it. And we're going to go in and we're going to blend with our setting powder brush, because it doesn't fully show up on camera, but it's a lot more pigmented in person. Finally, it is time to blend out our setting powder. See, look at how tiny my nose looks right now. Are you kidding? And then we're going to go in with the smaller brush and we're going to define our nose contour just a little bit more. I'm going to try to make it so you can see. Obviously, it's tricky doing the camera and trying to look in the mirror.
Hi.
We're going to, focus up the contour in the same places I put it. I kind of like the way when contour looks almost drawn on. I kind of prefer it that way than it looking like natural or whatever. You know, I always love me a full glam, dolled up look rather than clean girl makeup. But, you know, obviously I get you can't do full glam every day, or sometimes you don't want to. So then what I do is, obviously because of my acne, I have to take care of that too. A lot of the times what I'll do is for an everyday look, I will just put on some eyeshadow, which is mostly just glitter, eyeliner, mascara, I'll fill in my brows a little bit, and then I will do my lips, and that's literally it. But anyway, here's what the nose contour looks like. The highlighting needs to be fixed just a tiny bit, but it's not a big deal. There's nothing makeup can't necessarily fix, if that makes sense. Like, obviously, it can't cover up my texture, but it makes my acne a whole lot less noticeable. Okay, now I'm going to be doing my brows, and I'm going to take this very sharp and thin angled brush, and I'm going to do my brows black because, I mean, my hair is like a dark blue, and I mean, we're cosplaying Vox, so, Vox, and so I'm just going to make his eyebrows black because I think that's just going to be what suits him the best. So, I always use eyeshadow to do my brows, just because I find it easier, and I think brow pens are kind of a waste, really. I prefer just doing eyeshadow. So, I'm using the Tati Beauty Black Swan eyeshadow. This one comes with a whole bunch of glitters, and I've kind of used up all the white and most of this black, so I'm resorting to the glittery black, but obviously in your eyebrows, they're not going to be glittery. And then, I'm going to try to make it so you can see, but this is kind of a focus thing. I love having thin eyebrows, so I kind of try to take that into my makeup and make my brows as thin as I can, which is why most of the time for my makeup looks, I will glue down my eyebrows, but I decided not to today. But if you guys want, I can do a shorter video on just how to glue down eyebrows. Because I'm sure I'm going to end up showing it in my tutorials, but I can just do a shorter, like, 5-minute video on how to glue down eyebrows, because it's really not hard, and I think it really elevates your makeup a lot when you do it. Although, obviously, I know there's a difference between, like, full glam makeup and just cosplay makeup, you know, so, I mean, drag queens tend to glue down their eyebrows a lot, but you know what I mean. Are drag queens the same as cosplayers? I don't know for sure. I mean, theoretically, they kind of are.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. Oh, well. Anyway, here's how the brows look. I went in with a black, but obviously I didn't glue down my eyebrows or anything, so my brown eyebrows kind of take over a little bit, but just here they are, black. They're thin. They follow my natural brows. You know, I didn't do anything special. Normally, when I glue them down, I do stuff really special, and we'll do them, like, different colors, or they'll be, like, crazy thin, like my Rosie cosplay has them. But for now, I'm just doing these. And then now it is time to get into eyeshadow. Hey, okay, so we are back, and I had to discuss with my little Velvet over here. My little man. How we want to do Vox's eyeshadow. And what we decided on is we're going to do mismatch colors. We're going to do blue on this eye and then red on this eye. So let's get started. Okay, so first things first, we're going to do this on both eyes, really. We're just going to take this white color from my She Glam berry eyeshadow palette. I personally love this one. We're going to be taking the white, which I tend to use a lot, and we're going to be focusing it on the inner corners of the eyes, and then we're going to be putting it over the rest of the eye as a sort of blank slate. Okay, so we're going to be using the blue eye first, or we're going to be doing the blue eye first now that we have our base coat with the white down. So we're going to be using this Kaleidoscope palette I got from Target. It was $18, I think. And personally, I think it's worth the price. It comes with 42 different colors, very pigmented. It's a whole bunch of different glitters. The price is 1000% worth it. I love all the colors in here, and you can see some I use more than others for cosplays. So what we're going to do is we're going to be going in with this blue ice color in our eyes right here because we're going to be using a lighter branching out to a darker and more vibrant colors. Ignore my little brother. He's trying to toss a pillow up my bed. So what we're going to do is we're just going to dab a little bit in there. Focus it kind of all over the eye, but mostly in the corners like this. Just like that. Look at how much difference that makes. And then we are going to be going in with this blue right here next. So for this one, I'm just going to use this brush, not for any particular reason, purely just because it already has blue on it. And I'm going to take that blue, and I'm going to kind of do the same thing we did for Velvet, where we focus this towards the middle of the eye, branching out, so we can sort of figure out where we want the rest of our eyeshadow to go. And we're going to want to blend it in. And then it's very important that you also get makeup under here, because I always find it crazy when people do really vibrant eyeshadows and then have literally nothing on their under eye. And I think it's a wasted opportunity, because now your under eye just feels like sort of naked. Because like when you put makeup in your waterline, or if you do bottom lashes, like this all adds into it. The under eye is very important as well. Then we are going to be going in with this blue right here on the outer corner to give our eye a little bit more shape. So I'm going to get some on my brush right here, dab it. And then this is very pigmented, so we have to be very careful. Be careful, baby. You've fallen off my beds before, and it hurts, doesn't it? And we're gonna focus angling this a little bit more. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to take the same brush that we used our blue on to blend it out a little bit, make it look a little bit more coherent and less splattered on there. Now, I know it looks a little bit crazy right now, but I mean, come on, how many times do I have to say trust my madness? Alright, this is going to work out, I promise you. And I don't feel like I've ever really let many people down when it comes to makeup. So, blend it just a little bit. I am going to go in with our white just to touch up under here because I did smudge some. So, I will be right back. Alright, next we're going to be going in with this very dark blue right here to add a little bit more definition. We are going to be using this thin brush right here just because of how dark this thing is. We don't want it to get in any places it shouldn't be. Now, it is a glitter, so that also affects how dark it appears. But I promise the glitter is darker in person. And then we're going to take our same brush and blend it out a little bit more. And then now it is time for our glitters. I'm going to be using this one right here. I personally use my fingers for glitters because I find brushes make it a lot less pigmented. Look at how beautiful that glitter is. And then what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go in with this silvery pinkish kind of glitter right here. It kind of has like rose gold color to it. And I'm going to be using my middle finger because I don't want to add any blue to it and kind of cross contaminate. And I'm going to focus that one right here and blend it a little bit. Just like that. And then now it is time for eyeliner. So I'm going to be using my online creamy eyeliner pen from Waterline. I'm going to be using this on my waterline to be doing my actual eye, and then to do my actual eyeliner. I swear I am like tripping up whenever I talk on camera. I can talk normal for so long, and then as soon as I get on camera, suddenly it's like I can't speak right. Now, I am going to be using a separate mirror for this because it's a little bit trickier to do eyeliner. So I am going to try to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing, but I apologize if you can't. We're going to be doing it just like that, and I'm going to add it to waterline. Excuse you, baby. Here's how it looks, the eyeliner and eyeshadow. And then I've apologized if my base looks a little bit drier than normal. I had to take my dog out in between this, so unfortunately it messed up a little bit of my makeup because it's freezing outside my house right now. I was very, very cold. So unfortunately this is just one of the aspects that kind of comes with it. Cold makeup always kind of sucks whenever you have a full face on and then you have to go outside into the cold. It always ends up pulling it off kind of in chunks. Which sucks, but luckily for me, it won't be too easy to notice on camera. And then now it is time to move on to our red eye. So we are going to be kind of repeating the same process. We're going to start with our white, and we're going to be doing a base coat. And then now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with this red kind of pinkish color for our middle. I know I started out with a light blue, but I don't think I have that in red. So what I might do is I think I'm just going to add kind of a tan color into this just to give that sort of same effect. So we will be going in with Heat Wave now that I have my runny nose issue fixed. So we're going to be doing a similar thing. We focus it on the inner of our eye and sort of blend it outwards to figure out exactly where we want our makeup to kind of be moving. I'm going to try to follow a similar shape as I did with my blue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this side of the brush to blend it out a little bit. Make it a little bit more coherent. And there's a reason I do my makeup so messily like that. I promise it looks good in the end. It's just to add more emphasis on the darker colors, if that makes sense. Then we are actually going to be using a different palette. This is Profusion Neon Color Palette. And we are going to be using this red over here to add a little bit more emphasis onto our eye. And we're going to focus this on the outer corner a little bit more. And we're going to be following a similar process of blending it out. Look at how nice that fucking looks. Sorry, I have to stop cursing. Really, I do. Now, I do actually like the way this looks a little bit better than this eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dark blues and add a little bit more emphasis onto the, like, wing I kind of have. going on. And then there we go. I think that's a little bit better and it looks a little bit more symmetrical now. And then we're going to be taking this color over here to add some glitter to it. And then we're going to be using the same color or glitter we used on this side over here. I just love the way this shines. I'm going to be adding a little bit more because it's kind of like settled over here. There we go. Look at how pretty that is. Obviously, it looks a little bit different with red versus blue. And then now we're going to be going in with our same eyeliner. There we go, just like that. There's our eyeliner. And then next we're going to be moving on to lashes. So we are going to be using these lashes today. I forget where I got them from, and they don't really have a label on them, unfortunately. But I'm sure if you just go online and you look up like manga spiky anime lashes, I'm sure you can find some like these. Now, what I do is a little bit different than what most people do. I take my eyelash glue and I put it directly on my eyelid instead of putting it on the strip lash. I can demonstrate a little bit. Let me do this eye first. Sorry, I'm whispering. I don't know if you can hear me, but I tend to put it as close to my lash line as I can. And I put it directly on my eyelid because I feel like it gets a stronger hold than if I put it on the strip lash. I always apply them with my fingers. Some people will use tweezers, but I personally prefer applying it with my fingers over applying it with tweezers. Hold on, let me. Sorry, I was trying to show it to the camera and it ended up messing me up. Usually they don't turn out like that. Of course, the second I try to show a tutorial, everything wants to go wrong. Okay, now time for the second lash. And just like that. And now it's on to lips. So what I was thinking for Vox is we were going to do a top lip black and then the bottom lip like a blue, I think. I think that sounds cool. Now, I personally love overlining my Cupid's bow. I feel like it looks that's cuter on me than the V shape does. What I'm kind of going to do is I'm going to extend the end of it. Kind of like that to extend it. Just like that. And then obviously I'm going to fill it. And actually, I was going to go in with black eyeshadow better than a lipstick because since I'm doing the lip like a blue, I'm worried it would bleed and kind of get on the bottom. So hold on, I'm going to fill this in with some black eyeshadow and I will be right back. Okay, so I filled it in with some black eyeshadow and here's how it looks. And then now we're going to do the bottom lip blue. I think I might, well, I don't know, I have some pretty vibrant eyeshadows that I might use. I don't think I'll have to pull out the face paint. Give me 1 second. So I think I'm going to pull out this Profusion Neon palette again. And I think what I'm going to do is take this blue color and just kind of pack it on like that. I know it's not necessarily recommended to use eyeshadows as lipsticks, but makeup literally has no rules. It's kind of just do whatever you want. Just kind of like that, I think. I think this is going to be the end of my Vox makeup. Let me put on my costume and do my hair, and then I will come back. And this is the finished product. I'm gonna stand on a chair here so you can see more than my waist. But I have this skirt. I was giving more of an office siren look. Here's Vox and Velvet. Velvet took off her wig because we're about to go eat dinner.
Thing is like 10 pounds.
Yeah, I know. It's 7 different pieces of hair that I clipped together. So, yeah, it weighs kind of a lot. But anyway, thank you for watching. And please like and subscribe. Bye.
Like and subscribe. Bye.